Let's see how to draw on our Zotero library to cite sources within Microsoft Word. First, I want to have my Zotero desktop software open. Next, I want to open up my paper on Microsoft Word. Once I'm in Microsoft Word, I want to double check to see if I have this Zotero menu. This menu is what I'm going to use Zotero within Microsoft Word. If you do not see this menu, it could be that you've successfully installed the desktop software, but the plugin for Microsoft Word did not come along with that. So it's not unheard of for that to happen. So if you don't see that menu, definitely get in touch and we'll try to figure out how to troubleshoot that. There is a way to separately install the Zotero plugin for Word. So to start off, again, I have my Zotero library open, the desktop software. I'm in my paper in Microsoft Word. And then I click on this Zotero menu. So I go to a sentence that I'd like to include an in-text citation for. And at that point, I can click on Add Edit Citation. It's going to double check what style I want my citations to be in. This is my already established default back on the desktop version. If you need to change this, you can change it at this point. These are just the most common overarching styles, but if you need to have it in a style that's not listed here, simply click on Manage Styles and you're going to have access to thousands more styles, including those used by specific journals. If I'm okay with that, I'm going to click OK. Okay, the next thing that happens is I get this little Zotero pop-up window. You will also see in brackets this placeholder here that says citation. So what I'm going to do here is search for my source. I could search for the author, words in the title of the piece, any tags that I've included. It's really just searching, keyword search of my entire Zotero library across collections. So in this case, I definitely know one of my authors, and I can start typing Jamali, and there's just one source in my whole Zotero library that corresponds to that, and this looks correct. So I can click on it and then hit enter. What's happened here is it's inserted a citation. Let me do another one. So on this sentence, I'm going to click Add Edit Citation again. I get the pop-up. My citation style is already set for this paper, and I'm going to search for that piece. That's the one. Hit enter again. For this last one, I'll do it one more time just so you can see how it works. Here, okay, I still just have one. So sometimes you get multiple sources and you have to choose. Okay, so you do have to watch out for how many spaces there are. So let's say I have worked on my paper, I have my in-text citations, and now I'm ready to generate the bibliography at the end of the piece. Let's flash forward to that. Now I use Add Edit Bibliography. So I click that, and it has now generated the complete references for everything that I've cited here. And I can type references because that's APA style. So a couple things here. One is if you need to, if you don't know exactly what the author is, you can't remember, when you edit your citation, you can get a fuller view of your Zotero library by clicking this little caret next to the Z. You can go back to what's called classic view. This gives you kind of a mini version of your Zotero library, which is also running in the background to make this work. So if you have to hunt around your folders. So that's one thing that Classic View gets you. Another thing that Classic View gets you is the ability to do several things that we often have to do, certainly in APA style and many others. The option to add a page number. So I'm going to add page 16 here because it's a direct quote. So let me do that and say OK. See how that little page came along. I notice here that in a signal phrase, I have already mentioned the authors. So I can go back and edit that citation, go into the classic view, and that enables me to suppress the author from the in-text citation. So if I click OK here, notice how that Behimer and Jamali in the parentheses now changed to just the year because I've already mentioned them in the signal phrase. Notice the authors did not appear from the references list because that information is still attached to this citation. A couple of tips for success here. I notice, for example, that we saw how we added page numbers through the Zotero plugin. Do not simply go in and type it within the parentheses, because if you work on this paper further and you add more sources and there's more connecting between your Zotero library and this paper, that is going to get washed out because it's something that you added within the parentheses, which are not just sort of ordinary parentheses. They're doing some work there, communicating between the two tools. So definitely use the Zotero add edit citation to do things like suppressing the author from the in-text citation, adding page numbers, things like that. Another thing is we notice here there may be some small errors in the citation itself. So to pick something very obvious, we don't cite authors in APA style all in capital letters. So there would be a temptation to go into the references and just fix that there, and also fix the capitalization on the article title as well. It should be sentence case, not title case for that article title. However, for the same reason as before, this will not permanently correct it in the Zotero library back in the software. Instead, you could fix it here, do a little more work on this paper, and then you would find at some point the errors crept back into it, that they sort of generated afresh. The solution to that is to fix it in the Zotero library itself. So let me just show you that. That's often something that comes up when you're finally seeing your references list, that you kind of eyeball that and see those kind of problems. So let me find my Jamali source here and notice this author. These are all in caps, and that's incorrect. So if I hover here, whoops. I think I might have to just retype this by hand. Okay, just to give you a sample. For now, I'm just going to correct those two things. Okay. Here with the title, that is a very easy fix. When you notice that, what I did is I hover over the title and I do a right click and I can just swap it over to sentence case. And now that's going to be nice. And just pretend for a moment that I fixed those entire names. So let me go here, and probably the next thing that I do, if I add, edit that, it might take a while, but the next time that I add something, I'm just going to do that here just for proof of concept. Oh, I know what I can do. I can refresh it. If I refresh, now it's fixed. Okay, I was just wondering when it would check in and fix that. So always fix any errors to sort of the basic bibliographic information back in the Zotero library. It really does work. And if you have page numbers to add or authors to suppress, again, go in to highlight it, highlight the citation, the in-text citation, go to add, edit citation, and use this little caret again to go to classics view, and that will enable you to do these little things that you sometimes have to do to in-text citations. Hope that makes sense. So again, refresh as you need to. When you're ready to submit your article, at that point, right at the end, at that point, it's a good idea to unlink the citations. That will remove all those field codes that are in there, and an editor can work with your paper just as sort of a regular file, because they may or may not have Zotero themselves. Hope that helps. Thank you, and enjoy using Zotero to cite sources in Microsoft Word.